Hey, it's me. It's Micah. Welcome back to Being with Micah, the podcast where we explore what it really means to be present, intentional, and whole in a world that constantly demands more. I'm your host, Micah Bledsoe. Today's guest is someone who played a huge role in one of the most transformative chapters of my life. Adrienne Bacigalupi isn't just a coach, she's a motivator, a mindset shifter, and someone who truly embodies what it means to meet people where they're at and help them rise. Before joining Orangetheory Fitness, she spent years working at Weight Watchers, supporting people through the ups and downs of building healthier habits. And that background, the heart that she has, comes through in every single interaction. Now, let me take you back to how I found out about Orangetheory in the first place. It was 2021. I was, going through the pandemic like everyone else was. One of my coworkers had invited me to go to a class, and when she brought it up, I truly, honestly thought that she was talking about a smoothie shop outside of the mall. And I thought we were going to go to Julius. She told me that Orangetheory Fitness is actually a gym. And so I was like, okay, though I was genuinely confused, I ended up showing up. And after going that one day, I immediately signed up and never stopped going up until I moved. But regardless, when I started, I was pushing 160 pounds. I was struggling to walk up a hill, still wearing a mask during workouts thanks to the pandemic. My face was breaking out insanely, but I was the best that I ever felt. It was not a pretty process, and even though the gasp for air, the soreness, and the mental resistance, I kept going. I kept showing up for myself. Eventually, I was waking up for the 5 a.m. classes, hitting the weekend 45-minute lifts, and shedding 40 pounds in the process. That consistency changed me, but I wouldn't have made it this far without people like Adrienne. Her energy, her coaching, her belief in what's possible made a difference on the days I didn't believe in myself. Adrienne, thank you so much for being here today. I know this conversation is going to speak to so many people who are trying to figure out how to make real changes that stick, not just physically, but mentally as well. Let's start with you. Tell us about your fitness journey. How did you get into fitness and what inspired you to become a coach at Orangetheory?
I'm excited to be here, so thank you for inviting me. I've always liked fitness, and I'm saying the word like. When I'm done, I love it. There's always been a struggle to get started. And yes, I am a professional fitness coach and trainer. Still to this day, there's a struggle to get started. It's a super funny story. For my birthday, my husband got me a box, and it was a jewelry, and I opened it up. And inside of it, are you ready for this? It was a gym key fob. A key fob. Oh yeah, he's so proud. He goes, babe, I've been listening. You say this every morning. I know that you really want this. I got you a personal trainer. And he was so tickled and so happy that I had to give him a hug and validate that. Thank you so much. But deep down inside, I was crying. But we had that conversation later on. So I went to the gym. I was like, oh, he paid for this. I am going this personal trainer. A couple sessions in, I came home. I told him, I'm going to be a personal trainer. He said, what? I said, I'm going to be a personal trainer. I've been into health and fitness. My passion is weight loss. And I was like, people have to work out to keep their weight off. They got to work out. This is the other side of my career. So I became a personal training, and one-on-one became too much of a therapy session. I couldn't handle it. And Orangetheory Fitness is the sweet spot. You have the group, you have the camaraderie, but you got the one-on-one too, right? I need the energy of the group, but I also need to feel like seen, and heard in every class. So I do need that little one-on-one. And that's where I found Orangetheory Fitness. It gave me both.
That's awesome. I think I remember you telling us one time in class about your husband buying you a membership.
Gym membership. Yeah.
Yeah.
And personal trainer.
That's awesome that, he was the reason that kind of sparked everything behind Orange Theory and you getting going there. I would like to ask you, what sets Orange Theory apart from other fitness spaces?
I like that it's a start and an end, and I'm coached and I'm guided through the class. I need to know that I'm going to have a starting time. It's that struggle to get started. If I were to go by myself, I wouldn't go until tomorrow or, tomorrow. Well, next week. It's got to be on the 1st. And then, you don't realize it. And just time just keeps going by. And there's just this obsession of thought process, and there's no action. And Orange Theory is going to give you more of that structure and discipline.
The structure and the discipline was something that really helped me, because what I struggled with right before I started going Orange Theory, I was going across the street. What is that? Like Crunch Fitness?
The Crunch? Yeah. I mean, they're good, but
it was great, but there was no motivation. The struggle with getting started. I obviously enjoyed how I felt afterwards, but all throughout doing it, finding things to do was definitely something that I did not find much confidence in, and I struggled a lot with that. And with my experience at Orange Theory, I had a completely different, time and experience there. Obviously, the community has a lot to do with that, but how would you describe the OTF community?
Oh, you're right there. I mean, it's all about the community. I mean, when you came in too, with your friend, I think that you were a little reserved at the beginning, but then once you opened up, the community, it was your family. You knew all the coaches there. You knew the members. They were your friends. You guys check in with each other, and you kind of get to a point where it becomes a habit, and you stick with it for your friends. You stick with it because of the community.
I definitely kept going because of the community. Like, in the beginning, I was definitely reserved. I was nervous. I didn't know what I was doing for real. I didn't know anyone. But as I showed up more and more often, especially the 5 a.m. class, I would meet people who would challenge me, like Tyler. And oh my goodness, that really changed my trajectory in Orange Theory, because he would talk crap to me and be like, "Oh, you're not starting on the treadmill? Who doesn't start first on the treadmill?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm trying to like ease into this. Like, what do you mean?" And then next thing you know, he's like turning up my speed on the treadmill while I'm running, because he's like, "You can go faster than that." And that whole energy, like being able to find a space where you're able to connect with other people, is so important. And I think a lot of times fitness is viewed as a way to change our bodies, but it's so much more than that. How does fitness impact other aspects of our lives, like our mental health, our confidence, and energy?
Oh, all three of those. I want to say like a therapy workout with yourself. And it's not confidence outside. We train and we build the confidence inside. And then that's what shines outside, because that's what's boosting your energy, just that natural glow and smile from within. Fitness and the metrics of losing weight and building muscle mass and percentage of body fat, great. I'm not going to act like that doesn't matter. Okay, sometimes I think it doesn't matter, because what's more important is that you're happy. You're happy in life. And making time for you to move your body, I mean, you're prioritizing self-care, and that is mental strength. That's mental health. Kind of like, what you think determines how you feel. So then you feel that confidence, and then what you feel determines what you do, and what you do, that's how you make that energy throughout the day to be successful.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned like the metrics. We all get tied up with looking at the scale every single day.
And it's big now in society. It really is. The app that syncs to your scale and every single day. I mean, it's good, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
It is. When I started doing Orange Theory, I also started using this app called Noom, which is like they call it like the psychology behind weight loss, and they make you weigh yourself every day, and it syncs to the app. And in the beginning, it was just, I was struggling with my weight when I started Orange Theory. So it was hard to just sit there and look at it. And then after a while of being consistent, seeing it just stay there and realizing that one, your weight is going to fluctuate. Yes, the metrics, the number on the scale means everything sometimes, but it's really like you said about how you're feeling. And that's why I kept showing up to Orange Theory, because of the way that I felt every single time after I finished the class. I felt like I was on top of the world, and going at 5 a.m. allowed me the opportunity to start my day the way that I needed to stay focused at work. Why should people prioritize fitness even if weight loss or like the physical transformation isn't really their primary goal?
Well, exactly what you just said. When you felt like on top of the world, you know that feeling, like, I don't know, I can't even really describe it in 3 sentences, but it's a feeling, and you don't forget that feeling when you feel successful and on top of the world. And, you know, you guys, life, I feel like, is way too short. And if you're waiting for a number on a fucking scale, you're wasting your life away. Like, you know, a scale on a number isn't going to bring happiness, but we associate that. But happiness is more of a feeling from within. And I'm not going to lie, of course, a number on a scale is going to make us happy. Validate that, but we also have to look deeper. You got to look deeper.
You definitely do, because if you pay too much attention to the number on the scale, then you're just like waiting for something that's, yeah, eventually it'll happen, but you're fixated on the wrong things.
Yeah.
What you're doing with your body is what matters most, and how that movement impacts you overall, not necessarily what this number on the scale is telling you. I think a lot of people, including myself, when I started and I got to a point where I was overweight, I never really had to worry about my weight in college. Like, I was actually really tiny. And even throughout high school, I was very active. I used to be a cheerleader, used to do gymnastics and coach gymnastics as well. So when I got to the point where I gained this weight, I'm like, okay, I really need to do something about this. I felt intimidated, and I was really embarrassed to start somewhere. What advice do you have for people who feel the exact same way? What's the best way to find that community if they're just getting started?
And you got to find a friend. You got to, you know, your friend that asked you to go to Orange Theory or Orange Julius, right? You didn't come by yourself, but you came with somebody, you know. Reach out. Use your resources. It's not like you ask for help, but when someone invites you, okay, yes, I'll go. Even though it's super scary and it's intimidating, but you're not by yourself. Like, you had that person, right? For that first time to kind of get over that, you know, like you said, you were an athlete, you were a cheerleader. I mean, I mean, I like fitness. I like doing it. But there's that lack of confidence that, like, I really can do this. So I think the best advice right there is you reach for a friend.
Having a friend or someone to show up with, a gym buddy, definitely makes all of the difference. I know that my colleague, she didn't end up continuing through Orange Theory, but at that point I was already hooked. I would started to build that community outside of the relationship I had with her going to Orange Theory for the first time. So her choosing to cancel her membership had no impact on me whatsoever. I was like, oh, well, I got to go to class. I'll see you later. I think, like what you're talking about with like the lack of confidence, I think that trickles down into another category of things where people start to feel like, okay, well, if I do show up to the gym, they have someone they're going with, maybe they're also too not very confident in the type of workouts that they're doing. There's so many different things that you can do online. People get so creative. You see all sorts of stuff. My granny, she has like this guy on Facebook that she follows. She calls him her guru. I think his Facebook name is something guru, but she gets on there from time to time, and, you know, she's older, so they do like senior workouts, and he helps them do stuff from like a chair, moving their bodies and stuff like that. So there's so many different things that you can do depending on what group you fall in. For someone who's just starting, what kind of workout regimen should they follow to build strength and endurance over time? Because you can't just go all out day one.
So someone who wants to get started, like right now, sedentary lifestyle and zero fitness routine. That's what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay, you ready for this?
Yes.
Walk. Walk. Yes. It's that walk. 10 minutes. The next day, do it again. Walk. Okay, now go 15 minutes. If you like that, do it again. When you feel ready, walk. 20 minutes. See, when you ask, what should we do to build our strength and our endurance, it already becomes overwhelming. And then you've already downloaded 5 different apps and you're like, I don't even know which one I should start. I don't start any.
Right. And then you're like, what weight do I choose?
What?
How heavy can I go? What am I doing with it? It's really just as simple as walking, like moving your body. That's the first step.
Yes. Very first step. Walk. Your own body weight is the best weight to start with.
So once people have figured that out and learn to create some sort of consistency, because that's key. That's the only thing that's going to keep you showing up for yourself every day in the gym. When I worked out at Orangetheory, a lot of people in my family particularly, they're like, that is insane. Because, I'd bring them in. They're like, you're doing
She brought
way
in every single family member. Every single family member. She just had to show off.
I mean, I wanted them to get a sense of what I was doing and how I found so much joy and passion for working out, even though I felt like I hated it in the beginning.
Yeah.
Orangetheory specializes in more of a HIIT workout, the high intensity interval training. Is it realistic for people to do that every day, or are there potential risks of overdoing it?
I think, once you start something and then you kind of, in a positive way, when I use the word addiction, right? There's the hormones of that adrenaline that runs, and sometimes the cortisone levels are up, and that becomes every single day. Yes, you can overtrain. I think at Orangetheory Fitness, it depends on what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. 3 to 5 days a week. I think that was coming every single day for a while, but some days, you took it down, and we call that a green day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think listening to your body and what your body needs that day.
Yeah, that's one thing that I definitely had to pay attention to, because I would get hyper fixated on the board and looking at my squat points, then also looking at other people who I consider to be relatively my size and near my age group. I'm like, how do they have so many squat points? And for those of you who are listening, squat points, that's essentially when your heart rate is at a certain level for so long that you're able to start burning weight while you're sleeping overnight. So you've put in enough energy for your body to do the work for you. So you want to try to achieve at least 12. That's the goal in class. Yes. And there'd be times where I'd be like, how do I only have 3 squat points and we're already 35 minutes through? And I'm constantly, checking everyone else to see where they're at. And there have been plenty of times where I've had to come in. I'm like, you know what? I actually need to take it easy today. I'm not going too hard. I'm staying in the green because I don't want to push myself too much. How important is rest and recovery in a fitness routine? And can you share some tips for balancing intense workouts with that proper recovery?
You're right. Proper recovery is important. Think about when you're working out or tearing them, you're breaking down your muscle. I mean, think of it as tissue. You're tearing it all apart. And then on the days that you get to rest is when your muscles are rebuilding. So fuel, the food, your hydration, sleep. There's a lot of studies done on sleep now and how sleep impacts our health and our fitness routine. Those days are really important. And we're learning now with studies how impactful rest and recovery days are.
Yeah, I definitely had to learn that with waking up I think I was waking up at 4:35 because I live down the street. So I could save myself a few minutes, but having to go to bed so early at night, I realized that was really key for me, because if I woke up that morning feeling exhausted, I could tell going into class that there's just no way my body's going to be able to burn as much energy as I might normally be able to when I'm fully rested, when I have had proper hydration throughout time, throughout the day, not waiting till the end of the day to chug down a gallon of water, because that's not going to do anything for me, but make me have to go to the bathroom all night and keep
Yep.
me up from being able to get the sleep and the rest that I need to show up in class. How important is nutrition, and what type of things should people consider putting in their bodies with the nutrition? Because there was a point where I think it was the first transformation challenge, and I thought for sure like I was going to win, and I didn't. And I realized after doing the body scale that I was actually losing muscle. And a lot of that had to do with me not having enough protein. What should people's intake of their macronutrients look like? How should that vary?
I mean, it's good that you did that, and then you had the data. That could have been, like you were saying, overtraining for you. But I think the best part is, that morning you're like, oh my gosh, I'm tired and I'm depleted. You still showed up, and I think it's important, you guys, that you keep the routine. You got to keep your routine and your structure. You got to hold yourself accountable. And then you can't beat yourself up. If you're not going to get the 12 splats, or you're not going to give 100 or 90%, fine. Come, because you need to stay structured. But it's totally successful to give 50%. I just want you guys to know that, right? Giving 50% is success. It's not sustainable to always give 100%. That's not real. We're not in the Olympics.
Right.
You got a job and you work 8 hours, right? You're like, bring this down to real life level. Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely had to figure that out because I wanted to go so hard. I wanted to get all those splat points. And sometimes we get hyper fixated with those little things like the metrics and stuff like that. And keeping the routine is really key. I think there was one time I really showed up. I think what kept me consistent with Orange Theory too is the late fees and, canceling within that 8-hour time period, and then realizing I'm stuck or I need to pay to not go. And so I went one time and I was completely hungover, but the idea of me still showing up and giving it probably 5%, because that's all I had that day.
It was 5% that you gave. That was great.
5% was better than the 0% of not showing up and then falling into that pattern where I don't think I need to go today. Let me go ahead and check the app and let me just remove myself from class right now because I'm not really feeling it. And then being able to be consistent. I love that you said that, giving 50% is success. And I think a lot of people struggle with this idea that when we do work out, we're supposed to be going hard every single time, when in actuality, just being able to give something is going to be more beneficial in the end than not doing anything, because it's a step in the right direction. You can add 1 to 1, but when you add 0 to 1, you're still at the same spot.
Yeah. I love how you're into the numbers too. Orange Theory Fitness is definitely based on science. When you think about it too, when you first joined, you got a lot of splats, and in a polite way, when we might earn a lot of splats, we are deconditioned. You're just getting started, and then you've been coming for months, and your heart is a muscle. You wear an OT Beat. It's an Orange Theory Fitness heart rate monitor. So we're monitoring your heart in live time. Your heart is getting healthier. Your heart as a muscle is getting stronger. So you're not going to hit a plateau. Now you're able to do a little bit more. You're able to work a little bit harder. Like you said, your friend Tyler calling you out, right? He can see, hey, you're ready to work harder. But it starts with getting started, right? That person that's going to walk 10 minutes. Then the next time they're going to walk another 10 minutes, then 15 minutes. Every single minute they're making their heart healthier. It's a first step. And then building, you say the word, I like that you keep saying the word, like you got to stay consistent. And really what you have built is a habit. You've built a habit. And now a habit is something that you do and you don't even realize that you're doing it. I mean, now you work out. That's just what you do. It's a part of who you are. It's a habit. You know, you don't really have, of course, we have the thoughts and the negotiation. Am I going to do it today? Am I not going to do it? It doesn't matter. You're going to do it. That's just a part of who you are. Now, this is so much easier said than being done because it takes a lot of patience and time to get to that point. It starts with the 5-10 minute walk. But you're right. We don't validate that because it has to be an hour. It has to be jogging. It has to be running. And then you do that and you're so sore. You can't even move for 2 weeks or get off the toilet without your legs burning. You pop ibuprofen every single day and you're not going to do it until next January.
Well, it was nice while it lasted. Yeah, that definitely have been there. Like before I got to Orangetheory, that's essentially what I was doing. I was working out, doing stuff, and I was like, oh my God, I worked out so hard. Whew, I think I got enough in for the year. Then I look at myself in the mirror like a month later. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, you need to start somewhere and then you need to just be consistent at that. And at the beginning at Orangetheory, I was just consistently walking uphill on the treadmill, like watching my colleague who was going with me to Orangetheory, like watching her run. I was getting so pissed because I was like, wow, she's just running and I'm sitting here dying while I'm walking uphill. But we all start somewhere else. We can't compare other people's journeys, and you don't know what other people have consistently done in their own fitness journey when we think about it. She used to do soccer and stuff like that. So she was running around a lot. So it was only inevitable for her to be more comfortable with running, whilst I hadn't been moving my body since I left college and just really binge eating throughout the pandemic and stress as well, just adding that weight. And so it's really important to build those habits and start small. And that's really what it was. You know, I would push myself, you know, I'd notice that I would go up, maybe it was like 0.1.
Yeah.
In my speed, but being able to track that and knowing, okay, I went for 3 minutes straight at that same speed. Now today, can I add a little bit more? If not, that's okay. But being able to see that progress, and that's something that I really liked about Orangetheory with the benchmarks, being able to track your progress over a long period of time or even shorter periods of time with the different benchmarks that you guys had with running a certain amount of distance within a specific time, or even like the dry try, which is way more intense than just walking 0.25 or running 0.25 and getting a benchmark for that. But it was able to give me kind of like a status update. So, and the last time you did this, this is where you're performing here. This is where you are now, and being able to see the growth, because day by day, it looks really difficult and it seems like not much is actually happening. It seems like, wow. And you look in the mirror every day, you're like, I look the exact same. But then when you do all these everyday progress check-ins, they amount to something, which is that 3, 4, 5 months later, that photo that you take, or, you know, the body scan that you do that clearly shows that your body is adjusting and you're able to make that difference in your fitness routine that impacts you on a positive level.
Yeah, the data and the metrics. It's good to see. It's motivating.
It definitely is. When we talk about, like, I want to go back to the nutrition, the idea of nutrition, because I do think that's really important and something that people skip over a little bit. It's easy. Actually, it's not easy to go to the gym, but it's easy to get consistent with something, right? And creating a habit out of it. But when there's so many other pieces to the pie to actually have that long-term success, I think it's really important for people to recognize what's specific criteria they should be looking to achieve. And I think with eating, you think that my family, for example, like my parents, they go on like these crazy diets. One of my sister's friends, she was around recently and she goes, are your parents still doing those like crazy fitness diets? Like one time I came over, they're doing like a hot dog diet and they had like a bunch of hot dogs in the fridge, and they'll do like this military diet, or, you know, they'll do like the cabbage kind of like soup diet. They have tried any and everything. And what I've seen from that is it's not realistic, because you're not going to eat hot dogs for the rest of your life, nor are you going to be eating cabbage every single day of your life, or eating like you're in the military every single day. And that's why I really liked the Noom app, because it was helping me redefine my relationship with food and challenging me on the way that I was eating, and really making me recognize little habits I didn't realize I had, like whether or not I was trying to finish my plate because other people were finishing their plates, changing what I was going to eat based off what other people were saying they wanted. What are some common or just easy ways to get started and following a good nutritional diet? Like if someone needed to know, what should I eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, if they're just working out to try to maintain some sort of weight loss, what are the different types of things that they should be trying to eat?
That's like the $1 million question, man. All trends and fads, I'll tell you, they work when you work them, but you're right. Your parents aren't going to stick with it. They're all just short term, but they're a trend and they're a fad because they do work. And then you stop it and then it ends, and then you break up with it, and then you eat everything inside and gain it all back. I think a common mistake is that we're exercising and then we overeat. And we don't really think that we're overeating because, we exercised and we burned 300 calories. Well, not all calories are created equally. So that doesn't mean that 300 calories is going to equal 3 slices of pizza. Okay, to answer your question, yes, what should you eat? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner? What you like is what you should eat. And it should be something within a reasonable portion. It is important to eat before a workout and after a workout to fuel your body. I think the mistake is the volume and then how much we eat.
Yes, that's one thing that Noom helped me realize. And I also started using HelloFresh. And I remember the first day I got my package, I opened it up and immediately I think I called or chatted customer service, and I'm like, I'm missing a whole serving of food. And they're like, no, look at the packaging. It is for 2 people. I'm like, this is for 2 people? You gotta be insane. Yes. And I was realizing that I was like overcooking every meal. And I would always tend to have a lot of leftovers in general, which would condition me to feel like, oh yeah, I could eat some more just simply because I had it. But once I started paying attention to the correct portion sizes, oh my goodness, like my stomach, I was hungry. I was so hungry in the beginning because my body was used to me doing way too much, eating way too much, overeating all day, every single time that I would eat. And then eventually, after doing the HelloFresh consistently, retrained my body to understand like how much food I really did need to sustain at any given period of time, like whether it was like at lunch or dinner or breakfast. And that really changed a lot for me. I think one of the things that people should really consider when they're doing their weight loss transformation or just trying to start with their fitness journey, I think auditing your portion sizes is really key. And I think here in the United States, they talk a lot about that. A lot of people have and suffer from obesity here because of our portion sizes. You go out to eat and you realize they're giving you like 3 serving sizes in one sitting. And that's just for one meal.
It's absolutely right. It's crazy. And then we take that at home. I think before our workout, we need fuel, and fuel is a carbohydrate. And then we say that word and everybody, panics and thinks about a loaf of sourdough French bread. Banana would be a good natural source of a carbohydrate. I'm kind of thinking a little quick and convenient, in the morning before your workout.
So you don't need to eat a full meal before you work out. You can do something very simple, light, a banana, protein shake maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like a Cliff
I mean,
bar.
If you go in like the afternoon, you've had lunch, but maybe you want to have a little something before. I mean, it doesn't feel good to have a full belly in a workout, but a little bit of natural sugar would be good.
Why is it important to eat after you work out? Because that's something you guys would always talk about. Like, make sure you guys get some protein in like the next 45 minutes. I'm like, oh, shoot, 45 minutes.
I got to get ready and go to work, or like it's in the afternoon. Oh, I better hurry up and get home and
ready
make
to go
dinner.
to
I got
bed.
to eat.
Yeah.
Well, kind of two things, one for muscle recovery, but two, I think real stuff is you work out, right? You had some hydration, you feel all good, body's feeling a little strong and tight, and woohoo, hours goes by and you don't eat and you're not really hungry. Then you get to the point where then you're really hungry. Now you're ready to eat. We're not mindful. We're not thinking about a serving size. We're just going to eat what's on the table or what's convenient, fast, and easy. And then that kind of just leads into the slippery slope. So the first thing is we say, make sure that you fuel your body, within the next hour or two after your workout. One, because you're on that high of like, oh, I feel good. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm maybe going to have some protein, maybe an egg or two. You do want a carbohydrate, maybe a piece of bread or toast. And then people start freaking out. I was like, a slice of toast. But the toaster has 4 slots, so then you put 4 in there because that's just what you do. You don't need 4, you need 1.
And then you got to add the butter
and then the butter and then all the stuff on it. And you're worried that you're going to have 2 eggs because of cholesterol. And you had 4 slices of toast with butter. It's like how we rationalize things. It's like cuckoo. So yeah, a slice of bread, just put 1 in and then you got to close the loaf up and put it away.
Yeah.
Or, some people get worried about cereal. It's like, well, okay, yeah, a cup of cereal. You're right. That's kind of probably all we need. But there's a little bit of milk. I do more cereal and I got to do more milk and I do more cereal. And then, yeah, that's too much.
Yeah. Then
but I worked out today, so it's okay. No,
I deserved it.
Yeah. It's like, no, that word right there, I deserve it. No, you deserve to be mindful and in the moment, to fuel your body, to make you feel good.
There's a lot of stuff that I see online, like on TikTok and stuff. And there's this one video I've seen where, sometimes we get into those habits where we're like binge eating. We'll find a bag of chips and then end up eating the entire bag. Now you're licking the bag clean and your fingers because it was so good. And I think there's a lot of shame around doing stuff like that. Obviously, we're going to have moments where we make mistakes or we do things that might not necessarily be the most impactful for our main goal of maintaining weight loss. But
sometimes we're going to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're going to do it. What do you have to say about that? Because I think there's this idea that if you just ate a whole bag of chips, then you're going to gain like 5 pounds tomorrow.
No. If you eat a bag of chips every single day, it's probably not giving you the results that you're looking for. But to say, I'm never going to have a bag of chips again. Well, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. If chips are your thing, I think when you do have it and like you're saying, you lick the fingers and you get all the crumbs out, then you got to move on. Okay, yeah, did it.
Time to
done
move
over
on.
with. Don't try to hide the wrapper like it didn't happen. Be in denial. Like just own it. Yep, I had a bag, and now I'm going to move on. Give me some water.
Own it. Drink some water. And I think the biggest thing for that
I think the thing that I would learn in my mind is like, okay, I'm going to make sure that I don't buy that at the grocery store again. Because if it's in my house, I kind of don't have that relationship right now where I'm going to say no, thank you. So I'm just not going to have it in my house. If I were to have the chips at your house, I'm going to have a different relationship with the chips versus like at my house.
Right. Or like grabbing it when you're out, like in the aisle, a regular size bag, not a family size bag that you can enjoy, rather than taking that big bag home or something you got from Costco that's supposed to last you a couple months, especially if you're just one person eating at it. But definitely moderation or setting yourself up for success and not even bringing it back. And that's a lot of what I had to do for myself. And putting and using HelloFresh to allow me to kind of grocery shop and only have what I needed. I had my meals for breakfast, the stuff that I would put together for myself. I'd always make like protein smoothies and doing like eggs and stuff like that, or breakfast sandwiches with some yogurt and throwing in Lord knows what else into the smoothie. My smoothies never tasted good. I think that's one thing to normalize in the fitness community. Smoothies aren't actually for taste. They're just for getting in the supplements that you need, i.e. your protein and everything else.
She's honest.
They're never good. They taste so random. But moderation is really the key. If you're somebody that finds yourself liking to snack, being able to limit yourself to a reasonable portion. Because if you're doing it consistently, then that's what adds up. That one day of just eating a whole bag of chips is one thing, but if you're eating a whole bag of chips every single day, that is going to add on.
Mm-hmm. I think the advice too is we think that we eat really healthy, which you do. I'm not trying to put that down by all means, but having some kind of device, like you said, Noon, there's Weight Watchers, MyFitnessPal, was huge, a basic piece of paper and a pen. So you really do have accountability and documentations to really see what you're doing. And maybe it looks all great, but then you forgot about the 5 licorices that you had at the sport game, or, oh yeah, I had that extra protein drink. Just because things are healthy, we can still overeat. And a lot of the apps now are really based on the macros. So it will tell you how much fiber and how much protein, fat. It breaks down fat for like saturated fat and trans fat. And you can see those numbers on any kind of trending app now, which I think is important.
Yeah, having that in front of you definitely makes all the difference. When I would load in my meals throughout the day on Noom, and what I would do is I had like a little scale and I would just put on like a post-it note the weight of everything. And then I would sometimes wait until the end of the day to start loading stuff in. And then when I added it throughout then, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my God, I actually was overeating. Looking at it in the moment sometimes is, important for that accountability to understand like what specifically are you putting in your body and how much of it do you need? Obviously we need fat in our body, but how much fat do you really need? We
Not
need
that much.
protein, but how much protein do you really need? And being able to find a well-balanced diet, which is really key in making sure you're hitting all those other points with your macronutrients.
And well balance is going to be different for each person too. You can have the dietitian that's going to give you the perfect outline, but if you're like, yeah, I only like a quarter of those foods, I tell you right now, you're not going to stick with it. It's not going to give you the results that you like. I mean, what are things that you actually look forward to eating that you like? For you and I, it kind of sounds like portion control and making sure that we're not overeating, but I think doing what we're talking about, I'm thinking about my friend Nicole, that she needs to make sure she's eating every couple of hours, making sure that she's getting enough of the protein in. So I think no matter kind of where you're at in life, this is you investing in you. Building the strength inside and out, like that, what you're talking about, to figure out what direction you need to move in to get the results that you want.
Yeah, that's really important to talk about because everyone is different, one. And the other part is it's really important. If you're going to sustain something, you need to be able to like it. And
that's how you're going to sustain it. The only thing right there is if you like it.
Yeah, if you're forcing yourself to eat things like my parents who do their crazy diets and then stop after they lost a couple of pounds and they went on their vacation, now they're back home, and then they start eating regular foods again, which is what they like eating, but then the weight that they don't want is back. And like finding that in between balance is really important. I want to transition here a little bit and talk about like pushing yourself. This is both with what you're eating and how you're showing up in the gym and also like how you're feeling mentally when we're thinking about how we want to go about our fitness journey. What advice do you have for balancing pushing yourself hard enough and knowing when to pull back?
It's a good balance. When can you push yourself and when you need to rest? And sometimes, for the type A personality, you can't have that all planned out. You need to be present, like present right here, right now. What do I need? Do I need a 20-minute walk or do I need a 40-minute walk? Right? When I go into this class, is it going to be 75% or is it going to be 25%? And both of those are success. See, we only see one as good and one as failure. They're both good. and finding that balance. And sometimes we want to have it all planned out all week long, but you didn't sleep last night. So this might be a 25% effort.
Right. Yeah, there's been plenty of times now that I'm not working out at Orangetheory and doing my own thing where I have this idea in my head where I've been doing a lot of running and I'll go run. And my goal is, okay, I'm going to do my 3 mile run. I walk out of the neighborhood and I start running at the beginning of the neighborhood outwards towards the street. And then I finish my 3 miles once I just barely get into the neighborhood. And while I'm running, sometimes I'm like, wow, I'm actually like struggling right. I'm struggling right now. And I have to be present and I have to check in and I'm like, okay, am I overdoing it? Am I pushing myself where it's like necessary where like, oh, I'm actually just like trying to be lazy? Or am I actually like hurting? Like, am I in pain? My legs actually hurt because I've been running for X amount of days and I haven't given myself proper rest. So, okay, maybe I should just go ahead, flip the watch over to walking, and that's perfectly okay.
Okay. So you think it was for you in that moment, it was more physical, like your legs actually said, hey girl, I'm done.
Yes, they were like so tight. I felt like they were going to pop, to be honest. And a lot of it too came from something I know that I need to do more of, and I've been trying to do better with is stretching. And I
We
don't
should
think
do a stretch class together. Yeah,
we don't talk enough about the importance of stretching, especially as you get older. Like when you're young, and I think because I did gymnastics and cheerleading, I just have this like idea in my head, like I'm fit, like I don't really need to do all of that. But then here I am, like I have sciatic pain in my leg because I've literally done too much and I haven't taken the proper time to stretch.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that was the right thing, right? That was finding the balance of listening to your body. But then when you talked about, is it in my mind? Like, that push where you feel physically great, but the push now is mental.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're setting out and you're going to do the 3 miles and you're going to do it at a certain time. Sometimes there's no negotiation. Your body feels good. The weather's great. Let go of all of your excuses. And there does need to be that firm, today I'm going to do my 3 miles in this specific time. And it's okay to be firm with you. Like it's not a negotiation. Because you know that you can do it, but you're playing just the mental game back and forth.
That's something when I go out, I'm like, okay, not necessarily today are we so focused on beating a better time, but let's just keep moving the entire time. Let's just stop with all the extra breaks, even though just because you're going uphill. Like I'm like going uphill over here in North Carolina, there's hills every other street that I'm running up. And I would find myself just like walking and then I'll get past the hill and then I'm still walking. And I'm like, okay, so when do I start running again? And then I got to a point where I realized I didn't need to stop
How did you realize
running.
when you got to that point? Like, okay, I don't need to stop. Like, right there. Like that success. Woohoo! That's what we got to celebrate. That's living. That's joy. That's longevity of life. I can keep going.
I think for me, it was when I would be like in my head, like, oh my God, you're moving so slow. You might as well stop. You're struggling. This isn't going
So
well.
unlike you to have that negative self-talk.
I know. And then like when I always go, the first mile is where I'm like struggling the most. And I'm like, honestly,
why is it that damn first mile?
It's the first mile. And I'm always like, you know what? If I don't beat my last time for like the first mile, then I'm just gonna like slow down a little bit. And every single time, even though in my mind and I felt like I was like almost dragging my feet, I was beating my time. So I'm like, how much time am I actually wasting by messing around and, this run that I'm putting on where I'm almost like dragging my feet. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. Oh, I got to go uphill. And then I pass the first hill and I beat my time from the time before. And I'm like, I swear I was going slower. So
Yeah.
so then I
Yeah.
have to keep up with it. And I realized that it really was just my mind playing tricks on me and needing to just be consistent with myself and firm with myself and saying, okay, this is something that you can do. You've consistently been doing it. Like you have been tracking in the right direction. So let's move past whatever is going on in your head and just do it at this point. Because there's no reason for you to continuously be beating your mile time. And then in your mind, you're acting like you're moving like a snail. Like you're actually moving faster every single time. So let's just move forward and just keep going. Let's just keep pressing forward. So sometimes it is the numbers, the metrics that make you realize you can do a lot more than what you're willing to put your effort into.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't even realize that you have that extra energy. But there have been plenty of times where I've been at Orangetheory where you're like, that's as fast as you're going, and you push me and I turn it up and I'm like, wow, yeah, I guess I could have pushed a little bit harder. I was staying in that safe zone. And sometimes
the
it's really
safe zone sometimes where we hold our own self back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The safe zone is a safe space to stay, but you're not growing if you're not uncomfortable. And that's when I had to realize, well, this is where I find that space to be able to push myself harder and to grow in the end. Because if I'm just doing the same thing, my body's kind of adjusting to it and it's not really challenging me anymore. It's not challenging me and it's not challenging my mind. Now I want to go into these like rapid fire questions that I have. I'm just gonna, throw out some things and you could just answer these as long or short of an answer as you want to give, but just want to switch into this kind of like a fun little segment thing, rapid fire questions. What is your favorite workout?
Favorite workout is with all of my favorite friends, family workout buddies. It's the people that I'm next to that are in the class with me that makes it my favorite workout.
I can agree with that. Having the right people around is definitely going to make all of the difference with just, it doesn't even feel like you're working out at the end of it. What's your go-to hype song?
Maybe like any kind of like Whitney Houston, man, she'll get you going.
Really? I think mine would probably have to be, as of late, it's Big Things Poppin' by T.I.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it is, but every challenge that comes my way, I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know what? Big things popping and little things stopping. That's all that's happening over here. What's one fitness myth you wish people would stop believing?
The all or nothing.
All or nothing?
Yeah. Walking matters. You start and build your strength inside out. So walking matters.
How would you explain to someone to get out of that mindset, that all or nothing matter thinking?
I'd say walk for 10 minutes. And everyone can do that. They're like, oh, I can walk for 10 minutes. I challenge you to do that for a week. And challenge you for a week to walk for 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Just 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
If you could train with any athlete for a day, who would it be?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. That's a good one. My son's in high school, living his best life.
Remember those days.
Yeah, the athlete, when you're playing 3 sports all year long, rolling right into the next. I think my heart is I train with my kid. He's that inner athlete right now, and it's like as a mom, like being able to do things and keep up with them. This is like my dream, and it's coming true. Like I'm able to work out with my kids.
Yeah, being able to keep up with family, I think, is really important. I think part of why I realized I wanted to start working out more, because I thought at some point this is only going to get harder. And being able to find that routine now, something I can stick with and be consistent with, to take with me as I get older. I think the person that I would want to train with would be, I think it would be Simone Biles simply because she's a gymnast and
Yes,
I
yep.
thought I was going to be like some Olympic gymnast when I was younger. Yeah, it didn't happen. Broke my ankle and my dad pulled me out of gymnastics and then I ended up getting involved in cheerleading. But I just love how she has all these skills that other people can't do. And I just would love to be pushed in that way and like conquer some of those cool flips that she does. I can't even, the biles, tricks, and all that stuff. That would be amazing. All right, Adrienne. Well, before we wrap up, I just want to ask you a final question. The podcast is called Being with Micah, which is all about living life with intention, balance, and authenticity. What does it mean to you to, quote, be in terms of your fitness journey and life in general? How do you stay present and true to yourself while kind of like pushing forward in your work and personal goals?
Staying present and true to myself is something that I get to work on every single day. Staying present in the communication and making eye contact and talking with my husband. Understanding that making time for me to work out with our family is really important. It is my self-care. It's my therapy. It's my community. You know, he might say, baby, you want to go work out? I love working out, but I like getting started. I sure love when I'm done. And I just have to remember that feeling when I'm done working out. I wrap it up in a little box and I just remember that feeling when I'm done. Mentally, I don't want to start, but you're going to build the strength with your 10-minute walk and you're going to be happy afterwards. And you start there and it's going to lead to this habit and behavior of your self-care. And that's where you build the confidence and you shine outside, but it truly starts inside.
That's amazing. I love that. Boxing up that feeling of when you're done and remembering how you felt in that moment. I think that's so important because every single time when you start, sometimes it really is that difficult and it is that struggle. But when you're done, you know that that's exactly what you needed to give yourself. And sometimes it does just start with something as simple as a 10-minute walk, which will gradually become something that you can do with your own community, with your own family, your spouses or partner and family members, and something that you can keep up with long term. Well, Adrienne, I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of my podcast and taking the time out of your day to do this. I really appreciate everything that you've been able to share here about ways that people can find their own self within their own fitness journey. Sometimes it's really intimidating just to get started and balancing all the other little things that impact what we feel like at the end of the day and the number on the scale. So thank you so much. Before I let you go, where can people, I know you're not really on social media, but if people wanted to work with you, where can people find you?
Yes, I say I'm social every single day, face to face.
Nothing better than being social in person.
I
Social
really
media is kind
social
of
media,
overrated.
social every single day. Yes, sometimes it's good to turn off. Yes, no, I am. Thank you on Instagram for Adrienne Bacigalupi.
I hope you guys all enjoyed having Adrienne here and learning a little bit more about finding sustenance and being resilient and finding your path through your own fitness journey. I will talk with you all on the next episode, and I hope you all enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I can't wait for your next episode.
And before I let you all go, something came up just as Adrienne and I were ending the episode, and it's a funny moment that she wants to share with you all. And I think it's a truth for just how realistic it is for us to come up with these mental roadblocks that we put in our way that stop us from overcoming our true potential. So listen to this.
I got to tell this story. So we're in class, and it's a push-up. And she tells me, no, I can't do a push-up. Yeah, yeah, just like that. She tells me. I said, oh, okay. So I get a mat down. I get next to her. And I said, let's do this. So put your hands by your chest, and you're going to release your hands, push your hands down into the mat, and come up onto your knees. She did it. I said, awesome job. You did a push-up. She looked at me like, oh, damn, trainer just tricked me. And you know, sometimes when you tell yourself, no, you can't, well, you're right. No, you can't. But that's where you've got to find your people. You know, you got to find that coach. You got to find your friends that's going to turn it and spin it around for you. You know, that person that believes in you. And by the way, I know her upper body, right? I know what she can physically do. I know that she can do a push-up. We just got to start on our knees. And then you got to get to your toes. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. A hand release push-up. Do that a couple times. It was in a week or something. She did push-ups. And she came to me the week later. I've been doing push-ups every day at home. And I was like, oh, geez, of course you have. And one that told me no, right in my face, I'm not going to do a push-up. And you know me as a trainer, I took that as a challenge. I said, oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Let me get a mat. Let's try something. I'll show you how to do a push-up.
Yeah. And what's funny is I think I was at Orangetheory the day that I did complete like a full push-up.
Yes.
And I popped up and I was like, oh my God, I just did a push-up. Wow, look at that. I've just been saying all this time I can't do a push-up. And it was really just a mental block. And having someone to be able to push me in the right direction. Obviously, Adrienne was seeing me every day, showing up, lifting weights. And she's like, you can definitely do a push-up. You're just in your head. And I really appreciate you for staying on me about that, because now, you know, I can do push-ups without overthinking it. But
yeah, I'm sure you just do a couple push-ups. But you see, we don't get started. We say, no, we can't do it, because you wouldn't think about even starting on your knees. You know, and I didn't really even tell her that she was going to do a push-up on her knees. I had her lay down on the mat. I said, put your hands by your chest, pick your hands up. You're going to push your hands down into the mat, and you're going to come up onto your knees. So she didn't really even knew that she was even going to do a push-up. But you have to start with a push-up on your knees. Oh, no, I can't do that. And everybody in class isn't going to do it on their knees. I don't give a shit what everyone else is doing in their class. I care about you right now, and you can do this. You know,
and look at me now.
Yeah, as a coach, I take those little challenges in the back of my mind, but I come across of like, let's try this together, you know, and it just takes that extra little push and acknowledgement, you know, and that's where a trainer is helpful, a little bit one-on-one.
Yeah, and helping with reframing your mindset towards something and being able to look at it much smaller than what, like, this big task of, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, a push-up. I can't imagine being on my arms like that in a plank position and going down and pushing back up, where you're like, just lay down for a second and put your arms on the ground, and taking it step by step and breaking it up for me to get out of my head and focus on the smaller pieces that would eventually lead me to doing a full push-up by myself.
I mean, I really wish people had more patience, more kindness to themselves. And then that's how people would really get started.
Yeah, having kindness is key, because it's easy to get in your head and really negative self-talk and steer yourself in the opposite direction of starting and getting to this point where you're like stagnant and stuck and you're not doing anything. You know, you're not happy with the lack of progress that you made, and kind of remaining in that space.
Yeah. Well, good job on your push-ups, and I'm glad that you're sticking with it.
It's wild to think back to where I started. Out of breath, struggling to walk uphill with a mask on during a pandemic. I did not know what I was doing. I just knew I needed to change something. What I didn't expect was how much fitness would teach me about life, about discipline, about resilience, about choosing myself, even when it was uncomfortable. Even when it meant waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day during the work week, and even when the soreness hit on the weekend, I still showed up to lift 45s and pushed myself a little bit more. Adrienne saw me through so much of that, and not just with motivational quotes or tough love, but with real, genuine care. Her support helped shape a new version of me, one that wasn't afraid to take up space or chase strength in every sense of the word. So if you're in a season where the change feels hard, it feels heavy, trust me, I have been there, and I promise it's possible. You just have to keep showing up. One decision, one class, one rep, one day at a time. Even if it is just starting with that 10-minute walk. And hey, if you happen to be in Santa Rosa, California, make sure you check out the Orangetheory location there. Let them know Micah sent you. Tell Adrienne I said hi, and everyone else there. I miss you all so much. Thank you for being here with me, for being a part of this space, a space where we talk about the in-between, the transition, the quiet, messy, consistent effort it takes to become who you're meant to be. If this episode resonated with you, send it to a friend who might need the reminder that they can start again too. This is Being with Micah, and I am so glad you're here. Let's keep showing up. Let's keep being together. See you next time.